Now available from Dark Sky Films on digital and video on demand from 2021 is the German thriller, horror, creepy, weird drama, A Pure Place. So this was really good. Very low key, very strange. One of those movies that takes you a little while to get your bearings to kind of figure out what's going on. But once you do, it's just unsettling. And you know from very early on, this is not going in a great direction for at least some of the people in the film. So the basic story of this, I'm not going to give you all the details. The basic story of this is you have these two kids who are fairly filthy, fairly downtrodden, who clearly work in this weird factory. Again, as the film goes, it becomes clearer and clearer. They work in this factory manufacturing soap. And it's a whole bunch, it's like all child labor and like one adult overseeing them. And they're making soap for somewhere else. I think it gets shipped to the mainland. They're on an island working in the lower level of this big open factory. And when they're ruled over by this guy named Faust. He is this bearded, gray-haired gentleman, middle-aged, let's say, clad all in white, and he's all about purity. He's all about cleanliness and purity. And the people, the kids and whoever it is, kids, adolescents that work in this factory, they're referred to as dirt. Partly because they're dirty, but they're the lower class. And he surrounds himself with a small number of people who are teenagers and older, who are all clad in white, and they're very elegant, and they are the upper echelon. And when certain people reach a certain age, they are invited to go upstairs and be part of the play. And it is some play that shows the devotion and the fairy tale-like story of how this man, Faust, came to them and how he was going to make them all pure and wonderful and all that. So the two kids I aforementioned briefly, it's a teenage girl and her younger preteen brother. She gets invited to go upstairs, and she's excited to become part of this important thing and to escape the filth and the dirt. And the younger brother really resents it, and she is proceeding on the track that Faust wants her to go on, to whatever the greater purpose of this place is, and the little brother is having none of it. So therein lies the conflict of this film. I'm not going to give you too much more than that plot-wise, but it's really interesting, and it's reminiscent of other things I've seen, not in a bad way. It is a cult. It is very reminiscent of cults that I've known of and read about and seen documentaries on. Some of it very, very closely following what some of those cults have done. Not to give anything away. But the film just gets dark. And it talks about, blindly following someone who may not be what they purport to be and may not have everyone's best interest necessarily in mind, and may really be more into this for what they get out of it themselves and the ability to control other people. So this is in German. It's like a Greek-German co-production, so some of it might have been in Greek, but I'm pretty sure it was all in German with English subtitles. There's not a gigantic amount of dialogue in this. It's not a silent film, but for anybody who's put off by the idea of reading subtitles, the dialogue is there and it's good, and the translation is excellent, and you can read the subtitles, but it's a very visual film. It is really nicely shot. I don't imagine it was terribly expensive. I think shooting it in Greece probably did a lot of the heavy lifting visually for them. But I really liked this. This is the kind of film I often say, not to disparage the film at all. This is the kind of film that's going to fly under the radar of most people because it's not been promoted heavily in the mainstream. It's wasn't in theaters here. It doesn't have anybody with a really big name attached to it, but it was really good. If you like movies like, I want to say Hereditary, but I don't really think that applies to this. Midsummer, maybe Midsummer. Any film about cults, about really clean, classy, elegant yet sinister cults. This is a movie for you. It is not currently on physical media, as far as I know. This was released to VOD and digital in early April, so I'm a little bit late getting this out there. Sorry about that. I just got around to watching it, but I really liked it a lot. And it's not terribly long either. I want to say it's only 91 minutes, an hour and a half, which to me is generally the ideal length for a film, especially if it's a film you're going into blind. It's just like, it's really surreal, really calm, and really creepy. And kind of funny at times, too. And fascinating the longer that it goes on. You start putting the pieces together. They keep flashing back to show you sort of where these two kids came from and how they became part of the place. And yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I really like this a lot. This is A Pure Place, available from Dark Sky Films now on digital and VOD.